Hey everybody, it's Judy Klock, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Middletown, Virginia. And I am coming to you live tonight with a 3-card tutorial. And I'm featuring this month, I'm getting back to basics. So tonight we're going to focus on using our designer series paper and really just letting that be the focal point of the card. I know that there are many people that are starting a new hobby this month. Sometimes it's good for us advanced or avid crafters to kind of take a step back and kind of go back to the beginning and learn some tricks that we might have forgotten. So let me switch my screens and let's go see what we're going to work on tonight. And all of these dimensions for these cards will be in the corresponding blog post, and I will put a link in the description below tomorrow. So this is our first card, and again, this is that Marbled Elegance designer. It's a specialty designer series paper. This is one of our online exclusives, and I just love the gold foil accents in this paper. It just is so pretty that you really don't need a lot. So we just have a very simple little sentiment on there, and that is just really our whole card. And I am also featuring the beautiful butterflies tonight. Excuse me, I am so tired today. Pardon me. And because we're using the beautiful butterflies and the Marbled Elegance for our virtual stamping bingo coming up in February. This is our second card. Again, we're just really letting that designer series paper carry our card. This is just what I call like a little all occasion card, just a little hello. You just want to drop somebody a quick note. So you've got that pretty little card to send. And then we're going to do a fun fold. Again, we're going to use that beautiful designer series paper to just really kind of showcase all the pretty designs we have. And again, just a little quick, simple thank you card that you can use after the holidays. I don't know about you, but I could always use a few more thank you cards after the holidays. So let's go ahead and get started. And if you are watching live, go ahead and give me a hello, a shout out. Let me know you're here. And if you are watching on replay, let me know where you are tuning in from. So our first card will feature our Melon Mambo cardstock for our card base. This is 11 by 4 1/4. I've scored it at 5 1/2. So it's going to be our standard A2 card. I have a piece of our basic white that is 5 1/4 by 4. I just have a scrap. This is like probably 1 inch by 4. I didn't really measure it, but that's probably what it is. I have a piece here of our Pretty in Pink. This is 4 by 1 1/4. Excuse me, I got a little tickle in my throat. And then we have that gorgeous Marbled Elegance designer series paper. Again, this is 4 by 5 1/4. So let's go ahead and stamp on the inside. I'm going to use our Melon Mambo ink, and I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday, and then I'm going to stamp one of our butterflies because I love our little butterflies. They're so pretty. All right. I'm just going to ink up my pad. Remember, you just go tap, tap, tap. We're not going to smush it down. We don't want to get so much ink on there. We're going to go straight down and straight up. No rocking. Don't rock your block side to side. Don't rock the block. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and add. I'm going to use this little sideways butterfly. Let's just go ahead and add him right there. Again, no wrong or right way to put that in there, wherever you feel you want to. And while we have our ink open, let's go ahead and stamp our scrap of basic white with the Time to Celebrate. And again, I'm just kind of gently tapping this on my ink pad. I'm not pushing down and getting a lot of pressure because I don't want to get ink on the edges of my block that could then transfer to my paper. I'm trying to make sure this is straight. Kind of hard to see between the glare and everything else, but that looks pretty good. You know what? I meant to do it on this side. We're going to redo that. Paper has 2 sides for this very reason. All right. And actually, I want to use this side. No, it's got like a little bobble there. So we're just going to use this side because we're going to end up cutting that side. All right. So there we got our little sentiment. Now let's assemble our card. I want to fold my crease with my bone folder. You want to use your bone folder to get that crease nice and flat. See how much flatter the card lays now? Always use your bone folder. I got to close my ink up because I left it open, and you know that I like to make a mess. So, all right. So we are going to go ahead and add our inside piece. If you are just joining me, welcome. I'm happy that you're here. And I will have these measurements up on my blog post tomorrow. So don't worry about writing them down. But these are pretty standard layers, pretty standard A2 layers. 11 by 4¼ scored at 5.5 for our card base, 5¼ by 4 for our inside layer, 5¼ by 4 for our pretty designer series paper. Now you can decide where, if you want the gold up here or if you want the gold down there. I kind of like the gold up there because I'm going to have this label down there. So I want more of the gold to show. But again, no wrong or right way to put this paper on. Now, if obviously it has a one-way design, then obviously there's a right or wrong way to put it on. But this particular paper does not have a one-way design, so I can choose to put it on any way I want to. All right, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to flag the end. I'm going to kind of trim this a little bit. And I'm going to cut a slit on the right end. And I'm going to then trim from the edge up to that slit. Okay, take that out. And that's kind of how you flag the end. So this is just a cute little, now, if you have a punch will do it too. A punch will work just fine. Now I want to flag this one too. So I'm just going to kind of hold that there just so I can, so I'm going to trim it again, just a tad. Okay, and I'm going to try to measure where I put the middle of that. Okay, and then I'm going to come up here and do the same thing from the edge up to that little thing, pull that out, and then do the same thing here. All right. Gotta just cut that just a tad more. There we go. All right, now you should be able to just layer this up and have that pretty and pink kind of show through. Let's go ahead and layer these two together. Okay. And I'm going to make sure my left edges are even. I'm going to have my left edges even. I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. Oh, first, before I do that, I always forget this part. I am going to add some adhesive to the back. Then I'm going to take this beautiful golden thread. This is also part of the Marbled Elegance online exclusive. One more time. I'm going to just trim it. I probably wrapped it around there about 3 times. Now I want to grab it, okay, so that my ends are up there. And I'm just going to kind of make a figure 8. And we're just going to adhere it to the back where I put down our adhesive. Okay, and I might just kind of stick that one there. So we only have the one edge showing. Okay, actually I might even stick that one down. I don't know if I like the open edge sewing if I want all loops. Let me see if I can loop this one down. There we go. Got a little loop with that one. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add my dimensionals. Okay, this is kind of a big piece. I'm going to use probably more than I normally would, but I'm going to kind of put some here. And that kind of also helps hold that twine or linen thread or gold thread in place. Okay, and then we're just going to put this, we're going to have this left edge even with the left edge of our designer series paper. Okay, and now if you want, you could leave it as is or you can embellish it further. These are a new item. These are the low profile dots. They are in petal pink and gold, which works perfectly with our design here. I'm going to put one there and maybe put a big one right there. And that is our first card. Again, we didn't really do a whole lot to it because That designer series paper is just so pretty that we don't really have to do a lot to this card. So, our goal is to work smarter, not harder. All right, let's go on to card number 2. Again, I've got our card base. I used real red. This is, again, 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at 4 1/4. I seem to have lost my paper bone. Isn't it amazing how you could have something and then within like 2 minutes it's missing? So I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of basic white on the inside. This is, again, our standard 5 1/4 by 4. And we are just going to layer that up. And again, I am leaving this one blank on the inside because I want to have just some plain notes that I can just kind of write to my friends. If I just want to send, hey, I'm thinking of you. Nothing too fancy. Now this piece is 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. And this piece is 3 by 4. And we are going to cut this because we want to use the other side. So we are going to cut this into 2 pieces. We're going to cut it at the 2-inch mark. And that is going to leave us with a 1-inch piece and a 2-inch piece. Now, again, there's no wrong or right way to use this paper. But again, I wanted more of the gold on the top because I'm going to put a sentiment label towards the bottom. So I wanted more of my gold to show. So let's go ahead and put this on. I am going to use a little of our multi-purpose liquid glue on this. And again, use whichever side you want. And of course, I picked the one that's almost empty. Let's see if we can find our other one that is not almost empty. Here we go. And again, you don't need a ton of it, just a very thin line will be enough. But the whole point with the liquid glue is it gives you a little bit of extra time. If you don't put it exactly where you want it, you can just sort of move it around just a little, like that's way too far over. Okay, that looks better. And I'm just going to stick that down. I'm going to come in here with my next piece. And you'll notice that I'm using the reverse side. So we've got one pattern, and then I just flipped it over, and I used the reverse side of the DSP. Okay, so now that's on there. Now we're going to take our thread, and we are going to wrap it around 2 times. I'm going to leave the tail like towards the whole width of the card. So it's going to be at 3 1/4 inches wide. I'm going to wrap it around once, twice, and then I'm going to cut it again up here towards the, I'm going to cut a little bit extra because I think I want to make this into a bow, and it was a little bit tight last time. So I'm just going to, whoops. If I could pick it up and make a bow, that would be helpful. So I want to put the bow towards the left. And again, you can put it up as high or as low as you want on your card. I'm going to make sure I want to get this a little bit more to the left. And this is a great tool to have. It's called a reverse tweezer. You press it to open it, and that is going to hold my knot while I work on it. So at least while I go to tie it in a knot, that will help hold it. Except you got to get both strands. Why is it that whenever you're doing a demo, nothing ever works out correctly? I need this to be just a little bit longer here too. Okay, let's see if this will work. All right, that looks good. Okay, so I want to go under and hold both pieces. There we go. That's better. Right, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to tie it in a knot first. I'm just going to tie it in a knot right now because I'm going to adhere it to my card front, because it will be easier to play with this once it's adhered to our card front. Okay, I still can't seem to pick this up. Okay, and then I want to just kind of spread this out just a little bit. Just give it a little bit of a separation. Not much. Okay, that's a little too much because I want this back to where my knot is. Okay, so this is the part that takes just a little bit of patience to play around with. And there we go. That's kind of what I wanted. Okay, good. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this on our card front. And I'm just putting this flat. I'm not going to put any dimensionals on this piece. And I'm going to put it at a slight angle. Now, when you angle this, make sure that your edges, your bottom right and your top left, don't hang off the card base. So it's not a terribly big angle. It's just a little small one. And let me get that there. Okay. All right, now we've got that. I'm going to see if I can tie this in a bow. We'll see what happens. Got big fat fingers and a little tiny string. We'll see how it goes. Maybe, maybe not. Nope, we're doing okay. We're kind of getting there. All right, hold this down just a little bit. All right, that's not too bad. I'll trim that off just a bit. All right, so we've got our little bow on there. And then I'm going to take another scrap of basic white. I am using the Labeled with Love punch. And if you've never used our punches before, you actually want to use them upside down. This way, especially if you have a stamped image, it's much easier to line it up this way and then just punch it out. But we didn't have a stamped image, so that was much easier. But it's much easier to, everybody thinks you should use it like this. It's actually much easier to use it facing up so you can see what you're punching. Oh, just my little tip for the night. All right, and then we're just going to stamp, again, another little sideways butterfly and the hello, but we're going to use our real red on this. Let me just clean my little butterfly. And let me bring out my real red because came with the Melon Mambo last. All right, again, just gently tapping. I'm not going to press down too hard. All right, I'm going to add him. Let's move him out of the way. And we've got hello. So there we go. And that's why I'm just tapping. And then you can just make sure, tap, 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 as they say. And we're going to stick a hello there. Now, the reason why, I'll show you what happens. So let's say I wanted to push down really hard. Look at all that ink that I now have on my block. So if I were to go and stamp, right, we're stamping our thing, and I rocked my thing, now I have a line of red ink, and I've got kind of like a halo around my hello. So that's why we just are gentle, tap, 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 ink it up, and then just go straight down and straight up. This way you're not going to get ink on places on your project where you don't want it. Now, again, if I had done this, I could just flip it over because, as we know, paper has two sides. But, let's try to avoid that in the beginning. Let's not even go there. Let's just keep our projects nice. So we're going to add this. We're going to add this with some dimensionals. I love me some dimensionals. Hey, stick on the paper. Here's another little handy tip. So this is called an eye vinyl berry. It's actually used for Cricut, but I just like to keep it on my desk, and it catches all of these pesky covers for our dimensionals. Just goes right in there, and then I can just empty that. All right, so I'm going to kind of put this right here. All right, and then I'm going to use those dots again. Again, this is optional. You can add as many or as few embellishments as you want. I am just going to go a little bit embellishment happy. I always use an odd number because if you really look at nature, like flowers have uneven numbers of petals, leaves have uneven numbers of points. It's just aesthetically more pleasing when there's that odd number. I don't know why it is, but it just is. So we're going to follow the laws of nature, and this little one just doesn't want to get picked up. And we are just going to add those 3 gold dots to just kind of finish off our little hello, thinking of you card. All right, let's go on to our last card. This is, I guess you could consider this a fun fold. So this piece was actually 11 by 5.5. So a little bit bigger. This is thick basic white. Whenever you're using basic white for the card base, you really want to use the thick one. It's just a much nicer texture. And it gives the card just a little bit more body, a little bit more weight. So now we scored it at 1 1/4, at 4, and at 6 3/4. And this is where we talk about valley folds and mountain folds. So if you look, it just depends upon which way you're looking at it. But if you put the largest piece on your right, that 6 3/4 score line becomes a valley fold. The 4-inch score line becomes a mountain fold because it looks like a mountain. And the 1 1/4 becomes a valley. Okay. So when we talk about mountain and valley folds, that's what we mean. It just depends upon how you fold it. And if you look at it like from this way, you can see it. Valley, mountain, valley. Now, of course, if you're looking at it from the outside, it would be reversed. It would be mountain, valley, mountain. But let's not confuse it. So again, I'm just going to take my paper bone and just kind of paper bone folder. I mean, there's many different names for it. And we're just going to really press those score lines nicely. All right, now I've got 3 pieces of our designer series paper. I've got 1 piece that's 5 1/4 by 4. That's going to go right there. So let's go ahead and put that in. Okay. And that's going to go in right there. Okay. Then I am going to stamp just a little so thankful here. And I'm going to use our real red again, which I just have. Okay. So this, again, not a lot of room to write, but if you're just writing a quick little thank you note, maybe not need so much room. We're just going to add that there. Then we're going to add a piece here. This is 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. And I went with the white because we've got so many colors. We've got Melon Mambo, Real Red, Cherry Cobbler, Poppy Parade, Petal Pink. So many different colors on here. I'm like, I just think the white would be the best. And then I've got another piece that is 1 by 5 1/4. So those are all the designer series paper. This whole card really focuses around this gorgeous designer series paper. And this is such pretty paper. Like I said, we'll be using this paper and the beautiful butterflies stamp set for our February virtual stamping bingo. Registration is now open. If you're interested, it's $55. We mail everything to you. That includes the postage to mail you the kit. And you can find out more details or register on my Stampin' with Crafty Klock Facebook page. I'm gonna add some adhesive here because I want to fold this down. You don't have to. I like it better when it's folded down. Just a personal preference type thing. All right, we're just going to go stamp a pretty little butterfly on here in our real red. So again, we're keeping this simple. There's not a lot of stamping here. And this is the new, I think it's called To the Point Punch. It is with the Hugs for Love. I think it's the Hugs for Love bundle that just was released on Tuesday. So we're going to go ahead and add this. Now, I want to place this so that it's half on and half off. So I'm just going to put dimensionals on the left side. So I'm going to flip it over. I know this is my left side. I'm just going to put like maybe 3 dimensionals there. And I'm going to use these points here so I sort of know where the center point is. So as long as my dimensionals were to the left of that point, I should be good, and I shouldn't like overhang and get it stuck. So I'm just going to use that. Okay, so perfect. You can't see the dimensionals, so I did that right. I'm going to tie this gold into a little bow. Oops. I tell you, it happens every time. There we go. I had to venture out today because I had to do some grocery shopping, and the roads were okay. The road right in front of my house is terrible, really terrible. But, you know, it's a tertiary road, so they don't really care if they clean it or not. But all the main roads are fine. The main roads are great. So got up, got some groceries. We're good to go. We'll live another week. Oops, I don't want to get rid of that. So now I'm going to take a little glue dot. All right, just a little tiny glue dot from here. I'm just going to kind of roll it up because it's kind of wide, and I just want a little glue dot to go right kind of on that knot. Okay, and we are going to put our little bow right there. Okay, and then I'm going to add some more bling, and I'm just going to add some of these gold ones. Okay. And I don't even know where I'm going to put all of these. I don't know. Maybe one more. Small. We use a small one. Put a small one there. And those are the 3 cards, excuse me, for tonight. So I hope that you liked these. Hi from Lancaster, PA. Hi, Dolores. Nice to see you. Beautiful. This paper, I love this paper. It's such pretty paper. Again, this is called Marbled Elegance. And again, my whole focus tonight was to show you how to use designer series paper to really like be the star of the card without you having to do a lot of extra stuff. Sometimes we forget that we can just use our designer series paper to really just highlight that and let that carry our design and just do minimal stuff so that it's not very busy. Really, sometimes simpler is the most elegant. And I think that, you know, when you kind of let your designer series paper shine, I think you'll always have a winner. You're not going to have to worry about, oh, did I do enough? Did I not do enough? Let that beautiful designer series paper speak for your card, and you'll have a winner every single time. That's it for me. Thank you so much. If you place an order with me this next week until my next video next Thursday, if you place an order of $50 or more, I will send you the kits to make these 3 cards. So once the order is placed after next week, I'll mail out the kits. That is it for me this night. Thanks so much for stopping by. I will see you next week. Happy stamping, everyone. Bye.